Hey guys, welcome to our review of Ultraman Z, episode 20. I'm Cinder Blaze. With me today we have.
The frozen Stratos.
Alright, let's jump in it. And man, I'm not gonna lie, this was not my favorite episode.
It wasn't good. Candidly, just not great.
Yeah. And
Um,
sorry for the different camera angle again. I'm gonna sort it out eventually, but you can see
sure.
me fidgeting around with this a lot. There were so many things bad with this episode. It felt like there was not a single thing this episode kind of got right. Like, just from the get-go, we introduce um Bako's daughter,
hmm
and we love Bako as a character. He's a nice old dude. He's pretty fun, and kind of like interacts well with the rest of the characters.
Sure.
However, for some reason, they they just didn't know how to write for the character. It's like they took all of his character traits and just kind of erased them. He just could not interact with his daughter,
I
and
I disagree. They got the yelling part down.
he wasn't even yelling at her.
No, he wasn't, but he was yelling.
Yeah, but like he, okay,
They
I
got the
will.
one. They got the one.
Uh, yeah, but he just did not interact with his daughter, and like that just made no sense. Like I thought that they would go back to it later in the episode, and maybe we'll know a little bit why. He does bring up like her mother. He's like, hey, where'd she go? And then they just completely gloss over that for the rest of this episode, which makes me think that they might bring Bako's daughter's character back, maybe next episode or maybe like one afterwards. I mean, I
Mm.
don't know. We have like five more episodes left. Whenever they want to do it. It like that. It just didn't. It wasn't like a compelling like plot line, and it was like the main one, especially because like it sets up the moment at the end when Bako's like, you know what, this is my responsibility to take care of the monster,
Mhm.
and we're just like, what in the fuck? Why? You have not shown any inkling of wanting to help this entire episode. Why? Why now? Like you weren't even like part of it for
Yeah.
most of it.
It,
So
they
go ahead.
they really decided to write these characters to, I guess, go against the plot at the detriment of their characters. Like you were saying with Bako, like it was weird because we did not set up any sort of conflict, and then at the end of it, you get this line that is like, okay, the this is the resolution of that conflict that we just did not set up. We don't get any moment with Bako to understand why he's so distant with his daughter. Like that just comes out of nowhere. There's nothing for, like, they don't talk about it. They don't say why, and it really takes the wind out of um, the moment where he launches the medicine for his daughter. Um, and
Yeah.
this strange characterization like really hits closer when we get to like the middle of the episode where they're like, well, all right, I guess we're gonna just kill this thing. We all gotta do it. I guess we're all good to go. Yeah, that sounds about right. And then you have to wait for the girl to be like, oh, no, 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 no. We need to save his life. He's my thing. And then Baka's like, oh, okay, yeah, I guess we'll do that. Like he didn't care one way or the other. It's like he doesn't like, much like we do. It's like he doesn't like the ape thing.
Yeah. And like honestly, for that whole ape thing, they didn't make the daughter's character like significant at all. They didn't even try. Like she's just like a
Mm-hmm.
random science lady. She didn't even have to be Bako's daughter for this episode to run its course. Like that's
Sure.
kind of how like awful it was. And I felt like her scientific discovery of like, this life form, it doesn't seem like too impressive or significant just because it's like indistinguishable from a kaiju.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, whatever. Yuka was really enthused and it was trying to like build up hype for the scientist, but it didn't really like show anything. Like nothing else in the episode kind
Yeah.
of build towards that, and they're just like kind of like telling us instead of like showing like what's so special about these
Mm-hmm.
characters.
And
Uh,
sort of speaking on the subject of like the what makes characters special. It's like they were giving her stuff to characterize her, and she was doing her best. It's just most of the time she was with anyone, it was Baco, and they just took all the character out of him. He said nothing. He stayed like very stoic, and
Yeah,
it works if you explain why, but they never do, and that's like the like integral connective tissue that we just completely miss. I feel like
yeah,
a lot of the I don't want to say the bad stuff about this episode centers around what they did with his character.
yeah. And because it was like too important, it also could have been like a situation where they had to cut a lot of those parts. And honestly, for the plot of this episode, it was probably superfluous. It would have like helped a lot of the emotional weight for it, but like for the bare bones plot, it wasn't necessary to get from point A to point B. Um, and that's maybe why it got cut because like when we
Mm-hmm.
pulled up the video, like that was a 31-minute video. Like it was probably a little pressed for time, and it also had um, like a couple more ads, like an extended one for a movie.
Sure.
So maybe something like that happened. So I'm like a little bit more willing to forgive it. Also like just like a little bit, like not even like much.
Yeah, because for me at least, it's been Ultra's been getting a little stale, so the goodwill is kind of being chipped away at a bit, and this one I'm just like,
Yeah,
I'm not with you here. Most times
yeah,
I'm with you, but this time it's just you went in a very strange direction, and I didn't like it,
yeah.
and I
I
don't
think like
understand why.
when they ripped off the bandage, it was definitely the drum scene. I thought like if it's for like a festival in Japan, I'm willing to kind of forgive it. However, for my enjoyment of the episode, it was just like all this bad stuff already going into that scene, and then we get like this to kind of like take any like seriousness that we could have had, any sort of like progression. Like that drum scene was so long too.
Yeah,
Just to
yeah.
see them kind of like joking around. And when I saw both Yoko's and Haruki's faces, like they're just making like goofy faces to entertain kids. Like they're trying to distract us from how bad this episode was. And like when I saw like Haruki's face specifically, because it was the first one that showed up, I was just like, okay, you guys are just like admitting that this episode's basically bad. So, God, man, like why? At least like one thing I will give him like credit for was like this whole like plot of, oh, are we gonna kill it, or you know we have to like keep it like 1,000 kilometers away from like kilometers. However, what was like the
I thought it was like 3,000 kilometers. It was that far away from the city, but it was getting closer and closer for some. I don't know why.
I don't know, 1,000 kilometers seems like a little off, but like whatever unit of measurement they had,
I don't think
um,
anyone's gonna correct us in the. Oh, go ahead, correct us in the comments.
yeah, um, but like once it reached like the certain threshold, they had to like actually go and attempt to kill it. It made like a little bit of sense just because we saw both King Joe and Wyndham put in a lot of effort into restraining it, and that was definitely not working like whatsoever. So
Mm.
when it was kind of like reaching, that 1,000 kilometer meter mark, I was like, you know what, that makes a lot of sense. Like they should have to kill it at this point. So it did have like a little bit of like earned tension, a little bit, but like
They
I just,
attempted to earn it, is what I'll give
but
it.
yeah, I mean like I found like that was like the most like reasonable thing that happened this episode. However, I hated that stupid abomination that I wanted its ass dead. Like, so despite like me saying, oh yeah, that plot point's pretty cool, like I also have to care about that creature for it to like me. And I was just like, nah, just kill that thing. It's so annoying. It hasn't done anything positive for me this episode.
Mm-hmm.
It's honestly only just brought negative stuff because he just looks atrocious. So
Atrocious.
I try. No, no. Even Belial looks better than him.
There.
So yeah, this was.
Yeah.
It looked as awful as this episode was. Like
I
that's the
mean,
only way I can put it.
this episode, more than any of them, I feel like has felt. I hesitate to keep using this word because, I don't like calling episodes this, but a little fillery, just because even there wasn't anything good with the characters, like getting good characterization or anything fun with them. It was just kind of them doing it.
Yeah,
This is Ultraman episode.
yeah. I'm honestly surprised that they messed up Baku's character. Like he's probably the
Yeah.
most like easy one to nail. Like just let the old dude do his old dude things, and
Yeah.
they just couldn't let him.
And
Uh,
like his stoicism throughout the episode really really reframed him yelling at his staff in a very strange and like scary way. Like he just like he is, there are moments where they act like characters in a show, and there are other moments where they act like human beings. And for most of this, that stoicism, and I associate that with like actual real human tension that they might want to talk about. And then suddenly he's doing his typical character antics of yelling at them, and I'm like, whoa, you don't do that. Real people
no, but like
don't do that.
yeah, like that one felt a little bit harsh. Like
Yeah.
he was actually like he usually just like messes around with them. Like
Mm-hmm.
he seems like someone who's really loved by his crew and all that. Um, so like when he's like yelling at them like prior to this, he's just like their boss. He's like, yeah, get to work.
Mm-hmm.
But this one's like, get your asses to work. And they're just like, holy shit,
he had
oh
a
man.
full-on meltdown. And I don't understand it.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's probably that tension from like him, his daughter, his wife, all that stuff might have been a thing in that scene, but it's conveniently gone. And it
Yeah.
just feels so out of place.
Oh man.
Like this episode probably did worse for the overall narrative of this story. They could have just deleted, just take the week off. Jeez,
Yeah,
you just
honestly,
couldn't
give
write
us another
anything.
clip show. I would have been it would have been better than like tarnishing the show with this episode. Hey,
Yeah.
comments?
All right. Yeah. Let's
All
head in
right.
the. All right. Extra says the looks on their faces when they started playing the drums were just priceless. Yeah, and our faces stayed like that for a while. Like my face was frozen. I flipped open Skype, checked Corey's face. It was the same for like the solid 2 minutes. He was frozen, but it doesn't really matter the situation.
And let it be known, it's not because we were lagging out like we are currently, and Alex's face just keeps stopping every so often. But yeah.
Yeah, that was yeah. Whatever. That was that episode. And that's the end of our review.
Cool.
Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Check our description down below. There's a little link that helps support the BLM movement. Its ad revenue goes to support that cause, so check it out if you wish. That's it for us. Keep it juicy.
Hell yeah.
And I know they already kind of do this, but I kind of wish this episode was more just like a podcast with like Zero and Zed. I felt like that would have been really cool. Maybe have like Jeed kind of come in and just like guest star. That would have been a way better episode than whatever this abomination